For 7 days I suffered and wondered what was wrong with me. Each day I woke with new and often worse symptoms. I've been through ciguatera twice, Lyme disease, advanced Lyme disease, had my appendix rupture, dental infection that nearly killed me. But dengue fever is in a category all of its own, also known as breakbone disease. As of just 3 days ago, I'm finally past the worst of it, but will have a nearly 2-week recovery before I'm back to my former self. This is the first time that I've had the physical and mental faculties good enough to be able to record a video and hopefully still edit it to get it to you. If you've ever talked to someone who's had dengue fever, they'll tell you it's the worst. And now I can tell you, confirmed, it is the worst. Let's dive on in. Okay, so first things first, what is dengue fever? Dengue fever is an illness caused by a mosquito bite that bit somebody else with dengue fever. You heard that right. So it effectively means when they say there's an outbreak of dengue, they actually mean it. The more people that have dengue, the more people that have dengue. There's 4 different strains that are known, and it happens throughout the world. If you look at it on a map, it's pretty much wherever the tropics are. It's called breakbone disease because, yes, a couple times it felt like my bones were breaking. And that's just one of the many symptoms. They classified dengue fever into 2 different categories, just regular dengue fever and then severe dengue fever. Usually people get severe dengue fever when they get dengue for the second time, meaning they've caught one of the other 4 strains. You can only get the same strain once, and there's no cure for it, so it gets worse the more times you get it, usually resulting in severe dengue fever, which can then have health complications on top of it. Some common symptoms of dengue fever would be the high fever, obviously, severe headache, muscle and joint pain, nausea and vomiting. With severe dengue fever, you're looking at severe abdominal pain, persistent vomiting, rapid breathing, gums bleeding, fatigue, restlessness, blood and vomit and stool. I've talked to some people that have had it severe, and as bad as my case felt, I have no doubt what they went through was far worse. Though they are working on a vaccine, from what I understand, you cannot get the vaccine until you've had dengue fever at least once. So I'll get back to you guys on that once I've actually gotten the vaccine, because believe me, I'm going to try to. Regular dengue fever was enough for me. I do not want to try severe dengue fever. That sounds absolutely horrible. Preventative measures are really as simple as just not getting bitten by mosquitoes. So wearing long pants, putting on a mosquito coil, whatever it takes to just not get bitten by mosquitoes. Obviously one got me, and I happened to be the lucky one. There's one last thing I'll say about dengue fever, particularly in the Caribbean. As I've been telling people that I've had it, a lot of people have been very surprised to hear it's this far north. Dengue fever actually goes as far north as the Florida Keys, at least in this hemisphere. And the reason why you don't hear about it so much throughout the Caribbean is no government wants it known that there's a dengue outbreak in their country, even though it is well known that there is. Reason for that is simple: tourism. Would you go to a place where you could get a mysterious illness that's going to put you down for hard for 1 week, and then a road to recovery for the next 2 to 3? Heck no. You'd stay home, you'd go someplace else. So it is something to be aware of when you're making your travel plans, that this is a possibility. Although there is no cure, the treatment for dengue fever is just monitoring the symptoms and trying to make the person as comfortable as possible. I can say from experience, hydration could not be more important. And this is not like your run-of-the-mill, you get the flu and people tell you to make sure you drink plenty of fluids. I'm talking, I was drinking a bottle of water every 10 minutes, peeing every 10 minutes, and was still thirsty, and was still peeing a very, very, very dark yellow, borderline orange. It, in some way, hits your hydration system like nothing I've ever had before. And that's what nearly killed me. It's dehydration. Kind of a dumb way to die, especially with the resources I've got around me. And definitely part of my, be honest with you, not being up here contributed to that. So next I want to give you a day-by-day example of what happened to me, and this is partially to share my story, but as well maybe if something similar happens to you if you're in the Dominican Republic or any of the Caribbean islands, heck, South America, Africa, Indonesia, a lot of these places, you might see some of the similarities here and you might end up understanding this was you. So on June 11th at about noon, I felt sort of like shivers inside, and I'm a very healthy, very active person. Every day I'm running dogs, or I'm kiteboarding, going out swimming, working out, doing something incredibly active every single day. So I'm very in tune with my body. However, as you're going to hear in a minute, I didn't listen to my body. So I felt these shivers, these sort of shakes inside, and that told me that I had, some sort of a flu coming on. That's what I registered it as, and I needed to go rest. I instead went on to help a friend remove a bobstay from a sailboat, which took about 2.5 hours and was, blood, sweat intensive. And then I think I went on to edit, and then towards the evening I relaxed. And by then I could well feel that I was definitely getting sick. My bones were starting to ache a bit, my joints were beginning to get the chills. Woke up the next morning hoping to feel better because I had some training I was going to be doing with some friends, and unfortunately I was feeling absolutely worse. I decided to tough it out because I figured, hey, you know what, I really want to get through this. I really want to show these people this training. So I ended up going in the morning and then late morning. Ended up being a great time. I had a lot of fun. Everybody learned a whole lot, but I came back and for sure was deep into it. I woke up on Thursday, June 13th, and I could tell my body was in rough shape. Shivers, chills, fever, a myriad. I'll read the entire list of symptoms, but I can't remember which one was which, but they did change daily, and that's what made this so hard for me to pin down what exactly was going on. I remember getting my massage. I get a massage several times a week. It really helps with training, and I just really enjoy it. And normally it makes me feel great, but this time, I got out of there and I felt super shaky, very incoherent. I went back, tried to rest up best I could. I remember having not only no appetite, which would be consistent for up until just a few days ago, have I been able to actually eat meals. But I remember not wanting to drink too, which couldn't have been more of the worst thing. But I made a really bad decision that night as I really wanted to sleep. I was like, sleep is good. If I can sleep, I'll be fine. So something that really helps me to sleep is Benadryl. So I went and took, and I wasn't sure how many, and the pills are small, so I took 3 Benadryl, and it being 3 times the amount I should. A side effect of Benadryl is it is a sort of like a decongestant. If you have a big head cold or just whatever's going on in there, it'll suck it all out. It's not what it's meant for, it's a side effect, but this would have devastating effect to me later. I woke up Friday, June 14th, feeling just as horrible, going through the nights of sweats and fevers and this and that. Tried to get out, tried to go do a little bit of this or that just to kind of walk around, but just nothing was right. Absolutely nothing was right. I went and got my massage again. Again, really didn't feel very good afterwards. Later that night, for the second night in a row, I took 3 Dramamine, or 3 Benadryl, as well as also taking ibuprofen, Dayquil, and NyQuil. None of this was helping, by the way. This was definitely, I would say, making things much worse. Particularly though, the Benadryl and not drinking enough water was doing me substantial harm. And yeah, I went to bed that night, and I decided, okay, no more, because that day I'd woken up, my lower back was like glass. This was hands down the most painful of all the symptoms. My lower back was absolutely glass. And I remember I felt like it broke when I went up to get off the massage table, and I almost collapsed. It was really, really bad. I was just absolutely delirious and still trying to do things, still trying to meet up with people. I just really was not taking it easy. That night I decided, okay, no Benadryl, that was a horrible idea, gonna sleep normal. Horrible night's sleep, peeing every 10 minutes it felt like. I guess I was hydrating more, which was good, but I woke up at like 2:30, I think, and couldn't get back to sleep. That following day was gonna be a really, really rough one. So Saturday, June 15th started at 2:30 for me. It was absolutely horrible. I had messaged a friend of mine very early on that I wanted to use his shower. He had a nice hot shower, and that's all I could think about that would do well. I couldn't imagine a cold shower, but a hot shower, I could do that. At about 8 o'clock, I think I very slowly walked up there. I mean, a breeze could have pushed me over. It just felt like I was on death's doorstep. I took the shower, got out, and kind of started having these like little minor convulsions. My breathing became rapid, and I thought it was a panic attack at first. So I started controlling my breathing, which sort of worked, but I could tell it wasn't a panic attack. It was death knocking. Thankfully here in Luperon, and I'll talk more about this later, although I'm a solo sailor, and although I've been traveling by myself and all alone for the last 5.5 years, this community here really takes care of those that are here. A guy, Larry, came immediately, picked me up, brought me to the hospital. I spent more than 24 hours there. It was in the observation room there. They put 4 bottles of saline into me. I drank 4 or 5 bottles of water, and I didn't pee for about 4 or 5 hours. I was horribly dehydrated. I was near death dehydrated. It was really, really bad. My platelet count was incredibly low, and that is a telltale sign of dengue fever, is your platelet count. I believe 150, anything below that I believe is normal, 150,000 per milliliter or something like that. And my platelet count was at like 127. And versus normally when I'm healthy, it should be at about 500,000. So yeah, it was pretty bad. I ended up spending the night there. That was kind of a bit of a trip. Dominican, it's a free hospital, so you kind of have to take the good with the bad. They do a fantastic job for the resources they have. It's by no means a third world hospital. It's by no means a first world American hospital though. And I'll go over some important lessons I learned from there. But long story short, they did a fantastic job. I was not the best patient. I definitely could have been a better patient, that's for sure. And yeah, so getting the IV was really good. People came to see, people came to help. Turns out you need to have family with you at the hospital. They are the ones that do patient care, not the medical staff, not the nurses. And good thing to know. Yeah, so I make it through the night, was pretty good there. The next morning, I felt really good. And I decided I felt more than good enough to leave. And particularly because there was a lot of sickness going on inside the hospital, and I just couldn't imagine staying there and getting it. By now I had a really good place lined up for myself that wasn't my sailboat. And yeah, so I ended up leaving. I stayed outside when I got to my new place, and that just kind of cooked my system. And I think the next 2 days were really rough for me. The second day I had a really bad migraine. And then after that I was feeling really good. And like I said, I think the last 3 days now, I haven't been in pain, I haven't been dying. I've just been, I'm disoriented right now. I don't have quite my focus yet. So I hope I don't do anything too crazy in this video. But yeah, no, I'm not in pain, and I'm just very tired. I can tell things don't quite, not everything's quite there yet. I lost some muscle mass for sure. But I'm back on the road to recovery. So that was, in short, my experience with dengue, not including what I'm gonna be hopefully getting better soon. So to follow that up, I want to go over how I think I made things worse. And then also as well, I want to first off talk about all the symptoms I've got. And this one, folks, I just got to read straight from the phone. I tried to keep sort of a log as the days went on of like what I was feeling. So this isn't, well, I should say I started a few days in, so this isn't quite accurate, but just to give you guys an idea. Total body aches, joint pains, muscle pains, body wave, chill pains, diaphragm pain to breathe, fluid in lungs, I couldn't quite breathe down to the bottom, just felt like I was being bottomed out, severe headaches, mild to severe cognitive difficulties. Still got, I'll be honest guys, I'm at about 70% cognitive, which I'm not thrilled about, but it's getting better day by day. Minor convulsions, lightheadedness, fever despite feeling frozen, hot flashes, then cold flashes. I couldn't maintain my body temperature, and that's still something that I'm wary about being outside if it's too hot. Loss of appetite, loss of wanting to drink, that nearly killed me. Neck pain, that was really bad actually. Jaundice eye, still have that. Elevated heart rate with breathing rapidly. Nausea, severe fatigue, and restlessness. The combination was just torturous. Overall weakness, burning in leg muscles, swollen left knee and calf, vivid and strange and bad dreams. And then the last one is that debilitating glass back that I had it pretty much lasted for 1 day. So those are the symptoms that I went through. I wonder how many of these could have been avoided if I had just not taken medication and drank. But now I'm gonna go over some of the things that I think I did that really put me in their worst, just to kind of acknowledge it and make sure you guys don't do the same if you're ever in this situation. Obviously overworking myself. I still kept going on with a lot of things as normal. I really didn't take the time, and that definitely didn't help. Not wanting to drink more fluids. I should have been drinking, now that I realize it, and I'm gonna go over that at the end of this video, but like it should be an obnoxious amount of water. It should be enough that you're back and forth to the bathroom. It should be enough that you wish you had a catheter put in, and I really mean this. Wish you had a catheter put in so you could just sit in the same spot and didn't have to keep getting up. The incorrect medication. First off, when you have dengue fever, you're not supposed to take Tylenol, not supposed to take aspirin or ibuprofen. And reasons for that is that you don't want to mess with the platelets at all. Aspirin especially will do that. It can kill you if you take aspirin while you're going through dengue, because your platelet count will be so low. If you were to get a cut outside, you're going to bleed out, but as well, bleeding inside can easily happen. And with a low platelet count, and I mean, it'd be a bomb going off in there. It'd be absolutely horrible. I think I really messed up though with the Benadryl. I think I took obviously 3 times the amount. Don't get me wrong, I went to sleep. Oh, I slept hard for that. But I think that dehydrated me so much on top of everything else that just made such a big difference. I think if there's anything I would go back and not do, I would not take the Benadryl. That I think was the absolute worst. So that was kind of all the cause and all the effects and everything and all the things I did wrong. Now I'm gonna talk about what I wish I had known or done. These are the things that I wrote out that I wish, well, I wish somebody had told me before it happened. So hopefully this will help one of you. Like I was saying just a moment ago, surviving dengue fever requires drinking an absurd amount of water, more than anything else you've ever done. It's not like the flu, it's not like anything else. I feel like what dengue fever does better than anything else, and the reason why it's so lethal at times, is that it just like knocks out your hydration system. I looked it up. I mean, I guess it's your kidneys really, which explains the coloration of my urine, no matter how much water I was drinking. I can't tell you how happy I was to have a normal color. And today is the first day that for a little bit I actually had some clear urine, and I can't tell you what a win that is. But there was a point when I got out of the hospital, I was so thirsty, I would drink like a plastic water bottle, just kept filling them up. I would drink one of those every 10 minutes, bathroom every 10 minutes. And the color of my pee just would not change. It was maddening. That's something that I really underestimated about the hospital, which I'll go into in a minute, is the IV. The IV gets that stuff straight to your system. But yeah, you really need to drink so much. And then on top of that, electrolytes. Electrolytes are huge. They're gonna help you fight this in so many ways. Getting salts, I mean, even if you're mixing in, maybe some citrus in there, that could make a heck of a difference. I'd really recommend that. The next one I have down here, and I wrote this from the heart, so I'm gonna speak it from the heart. Embrace the pee bucket. Embrace it. Right next to the bed. Get it so you just swing your legs over, just pee straight down into it, swing back into bed. If you have to pee every 30 minutes, and let's say you somehow are gonna get an 8-hour night's sleep, which would be amazing on dengue fever, that means 16 trips to the bathroom. And usually you're gonna have a headache for that. And when you move and your blood pressure goes up from moving, you're gonna feel that in your temples like a drum, boom, 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 boom. If you can avoid all that, which is what I ended up doing towards the end, is I would control my breathing when I woke up, very slowly get up, swivel my legs, I'd pee, and then I'd swivel my legs back, and I'd slowly lay back down, and just have the most minimal of thumping headaches. Oh, and I should say before I lay down, I would crush another bottle of water. That becomes the routine. That's how you beat it. That's how you get past it. The pee bucket is great if somehow you have a wife that's a nurse or something like that, or vice versa, who can put a catheter in. Man, the night's sleep you could get on dengue fever would be unparalleled. So embrace the pee bucket, or if by some miracle you can get a catheter, because that's just how much. You're physically able to go to the bathroom. Yeah, that's not a problem. I'm fit enough to. I just got so annoyed of doing it, so keep that in mind. I do gotta talk about hospitals a little bit. If you get dengue fever, odds are you're not near a super great Western medical system. If you're the 1-2 people that gets dengue fever in the Florida Keys, like, okay, you'll be fine. But if you're not, if you're in the tropics, you might be looking at a very, very bad hospital. Like I said before, for sure I wasn't. They did a great job, and they would have done a better job if I had listened to them. No fault by theirs. However, there's just some basic realities. If you're going into these hospitals, you're camping, right? So I remember when I went in, I asked for a blanket, and they're like, no, like, we don't have blankets. And I'm like, how do you not have a blanket? I realize now that this is a free hospital supported by the government, and I've heard some of them are really bad. The one here in Luperon was not. It really wasn't. However, in order to be able to afford to keep everything going, and it just makes total sense, this is a country that has a higher priority on family values than on profit margins. And that would be a difference between the DR and the US. And I don't say that with contempt towards either. Both the US and the DR are great countries. I love them both for very different reasons. But going into there, go in like you're camping. I mean, toilet paper, soap, hand sanitizer. It's great to have both because you might not get running water, or at least out there in the ER. Blanket, pillow for sure if you're spending the night. Big thanks to Jessica for bringing me the pillow and the blanket. That was very, very comfy blanket. They did bring like a really, really small, like a tiny breakfast. I didn't get any sort of like food while I was in the ER. But while I had my own room, once I actually was in sort of like overnight care, they brought me this big plate of like rice and beans and chicken, and I wish I could eat it now. I couldn't have eaten it back then. But either way, you should still come prepared with food and stuff like that. Water, no, like they'll have like little tiny cups, but no, bring your own water. Now, I'm saying all of this not just for the sake of if all of you happen to be here in wonderful Luperon, and it is an amazing place, with the exception of Dengue Fever. This has been honestly some of the most fun of my life here, and this is why I'm going to keep staying here, is I love it. I love it. I have Dengue Fever. I'm over Dengue Fever, and I still love this place. It's pretty good, right? You might be in a place that's not, though. You might be in a place in the DR, or you might be in a place, in Suriname or somewhere else that really, oh man, just does not have the facilities. So you should really think about that as you're going into this. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's not quite bad enough to move. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. If you've had it once before, could be tight. But yeah, keep in mind the medical system of where you get dengue fever usually isn't great. Next thing I wish I had done is just pocketed it out and rented a place. I'll be honest, I'm not staying on my boat right now. I'm staying in a place that has somebody there who can monitor me. Big thank you, Larry. And I've rented a place for a full month because I'm taking this recovery absolutely seriously. I've heard people say 6 weeks. I've heard people say 3 weeks. I haven't heard anybody say less than that. I think I went into this incredibly fit and maybe a little dumb, but I plan to come out of this incredibly fit and a little smarter. So one of those things I've noticed is I can't maintain my body temperature as easily. For sure, if you're trying to fight dengue fever in the tropics in sweltering conditions and trying to stay hydrated, you would do better if you had air conditioning. I wish I had spent the money sooner. It's not that much, it's cheap here, and I'm in a beautiful place. So yeah, get a place where you can be really, really comfortable. Get off the sailboat, I recommend it. Like I said, there's no cure for dengue fever. Once you got it, you're going through the roller coaster. I keep a lot of medical stuff on board, but I keep it in the incredibly and ever more likely scenario that I get bitten by a shark or that there's some sort of a trauma incident. I don't keep it for comfort stuff. I don't keep a great variety of pills. I'm not a huge believer in pills. I'm still not, and actually if I look back at the situation, if I had just drank more, I would have been far better. However, there is a time and place for that. There are certain things that you should keep on the boat, and I'm gonna look into what other pills I could be having on the boat, particularly maybe even if it's just melatonin to help sleep instead of using Benadryl. And also with that, I wanna say, remember, you can't take Tylenol, you can't take aspirin or ibuprofen, which really took me off guard, but you can take acetaminophen, acetaminophen. Again, folks, I'm not entirely with it yet. I'm still recovering from dengue fever. That's the best I got. Pause the video or whatever, check the spelling. That you can take when you have dengue fever, and that does help. I remember getting to the hospital and being like, it's not like a narco, it's not like codeine or Oxycontin, don't get me wrong, but I was just not in as hell of a place, so I recommend that. This next one's a good one, and I can't believe it happened to me. Don't stop taking multivitamin pills, or if you're not taking multivitamin pills, start taking one. Think about it like this. You're not gonna be eating, but your body's gonna need that to get food from somewhere, so it's gonna start stripping it from yourself. But you may not be a complete food source for your body. This is kind of a proven fact. People that have decided to starve themselves down or do like a liquid only diet or something like that where they only drink, you can do that if you're grossly overweight if you take vitamins with it. Your body still needs those vitamins. I, for some reason, stopped taking everything. I was just so out of whack. I was delirious, and I'm still a little delirious. Like, it's no joke. But the multivitamins really, really help. It makes a big difference. I started taking mine as soon as I got back out of the hospital, and I was like, what an idiot for not. And my body just feels that much better. I think everybody should be taking a multivitamin anyway. It's hard to get that complete of a diet, but yeah, so I highly recommend that. All right, getting towards the end here. The next one I would say is have a doctor that you trust who speaks English that you can talk with. If I could have said my symptoms and just bounced ideas with a doctor, it would have made such a difference to me. A medical professional that I respect and that knows what's going on and understands it. using Google Translate with doctors that have many other patients that, and again, I'll say it again, I was not a great patient. Like, I could have been much, much better. When I returned, they were happy to see me. I didn't make anybody angry or anything like that, but I could have been more compliant. But I like to talk to the doctors. I'm very, very used to doing that. With all of my injuries in the past, I'm used to talking at length with them and understanding what the treatment plan was. That's just not how they operate here. They just don't, and it makes sense for who they're used to dealing with. They're normal patients. If they were to say what the treatment plan is, they would have been like, okay, like, so what? But it would have meant a lot to me, and it would have helped me a lot as I try to figure things out. And who knows what vitamins maybe I could be taking, what sort of things I could order or could be doing. But having a doctor that you can talk to, and I have a few friends that are doctors that I just didn't reach out to. I just thought like, oh no, they're too far north, they're not gonna know dengue fever, but I really should have, because they could have given me some very basic advice that just hearing it from them I think would have made a big difference. But either way, just for anything, you're sailing on a boat, you're in the tropics, something goes wrong, you have a doctor that you can talk to, and that makes a massive difference. Explaining the symptoms, what's going on, and they can weigh the options and give you an informed opinion. All right, the last thing I wish I had known. You're gonna have weird dreams. I'm not the only one that's had this. And I'm gonna share one example because I think it's kind of funny. Because finally a friend of mine gave me some, not like crazy, but some painkillers one night, just after I'd gotten out of the hospital. And I took them and I laid down and I felt like I could kind of melt a little bit. Again, these weren't like oxycodones or anything like that, but it was enough to make me feel good. And I had a dream about everybody who had been helping me was in this room with this like dome sort of in the middle, you know, this like 6-foot high dome sort of thing. And we all had like a kitten. And the kittens were all dyed different colors, so we knew which one was ours. And the objective of the game was to kind of like encourage your kitten to get to the top. Nobody did it. We all just sat there and laughed and had fun. That was the beginning of the night. By the end of the night, my dreams evolved as it came back to my normal dreams of dengue-related deliria. And it was a high school, what do they call that? Like the in crowd, the preppy girls, the mean girl crowd, you know, in high school, were like trying to eat people's faces off. Yeah, you're gonna have some weird dreams. And the night that I didn't take Benadryl, I had linking dreams where you have a dream, you go up to do something, you're clearly awake, you go back to bed, and the dream continues, which was horrible. So just a heads up, do what you can with that. All right, thanks so much for sticking through this far. Got a little bit more going on. My final thoughts here. I do want to say that in the worst of this, I even said that this was the best place this could have happened. For me on my sailboat, this couldn't have happened at a better place. Even if I had been in Miami, Florida, nobody would have been there to watch my boat. Nobody would have been there to bring me things. The community here in Luperon is amazing, both local and the sailor community. And the more I stay here, the more I get into the local part and the cruiser part. We have a WhatsApp group that we all share, and I was able to post into there, and I had to delete it quick, I knew, because too many people were gonna come help when I said, I need to go to a hospital. The amount of help I got was really touching. I've been on my own for so long, and I've been so self-resilient, and I've accepted that. I think that I kind of imagined what would sneak up and try to kill me would be a shark, would be something a little bit more, you know, manly. But it's a sickness, dengue, and it nearly got me. And the support I got really meant a lot to me. And I can say that a lot of other people that have been here who have reached out even a little bit have felt the same. And I know some people who haven't reached out. And I think it's important to know that in the sailing community, generally speaking, if you have a boat and they have a boat, they'll help you. But here it's a different level. I've been able to be a part of the community and help others, and it's been so nice to have that reciprocated and be able to help others again in the future. So on that note, I actually want to take a minute and thank two people in particular, or a few people in particular. First off, definitely is Nicole. She's a solo sailor and she's also a YouTuber. Her channel is Sailing Arta. I'm gonna have to put a link down below so you guys can check her out. She does some really cool stuff, and she's a real inspiration to many. So definitely check her out and give her a thank you from me. she really stuck by me and really helped me throughout all of this, in particular that night in the hospital. And I didn't quite say it how it happened, but long story short, I was asleep. The nurse came into the room at about 9, and I had to use Google Translate, which is a lifesaver. And she said to me through Google Translate, I came back, probably not exactly what she meant to say, but what it came back as was, "You need family or you'll wake up alone." Which I was kind of okay at that point, but it kind of hit me that, yeah, they do things differently here. So the first and only person I called was Nicole, and she was there, and she helped, and she stayed through the night, and she did not get any more sleep than I did that night, that's for sure. So I really appreciate that. The next person has to be Larry, who he didn't wait for anyone for me to reply in the group chat. He just called me and said, "I have a car, I'm ready to come pick you up. Let's go." And then he stayed with me. And then it turned out the one place that I wanted to go to get better, he's already there, and he was there watching me, and he helped me out a lot while I was there. So a very big thank you to Larry as well. Jessica is a local here in Luperon. Her mother is the one that gives me massages, and I've kind of become a little bit of their family. And her coming into the hospital as well as coming with her aunt meant a lot to me, bringing me things, bringing me food, bringing me the blanket. Not only that, she speaks very good English, and she works in the hospital, and she helped me out quite a lot there. So it's definitely good to know someone and have things just so you can smooth things over was really helpful. And next I gotta thank Cliff, Papo, and Jose. They came to see me when I was in the ER, and they were, between the three of them, putting together plans if I needed to go to a bigger hospital further away. And that ended up meaning a lot to me. I ended up talking to Papo at length later, figuring out a plan of which hospital I could afford. I have no sort of medical insurance, so and it's not terribly expensive depending on which one you go to. So it kind of was good to be able to have someone to help me out on that. All right, conclusion, final thoughts, you guys. Dengue fever is absolutely horrible. I hope none of you ever have to get it. But if you do, I hope you remember this video, and I hope it helps you. For those of you who have had dengue fever, and I've talked to quite a few of you online, and I can only imagine how many more through this video, leave what you went through and how you got through it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And any of you who haven't had dengue but still have something to say, throw it in the comments below. Got any ideas of what I could have done differently? I'd absolutely love to hear it. I have no doubt that eventually I'll be back in a hospital with my lifestyle. It's just the nature of the beast. This is the price I pay for this lifestyle I've got. I try to say that every time the cards are down because it's the absolute truth. And I gotta say, in this particular time for Luperon, dengue fever for 2 months of absolute joy and bliss and fun, it's honestly been worth it, even though it's been the worst thing of my life. It's just been that good here. It will for sure be a couple weeks before I'm able to actually go on anything that resembles a real adventure. It was only a couple days ago that I was able to actually walk, though maybe not the safest thing. Riding my motorcycle felt just amazing, going slow, but yeah, it will be difficult. That being said, I try to look at the positive in this. I have a really good place right now, specifically a really good place that I can be editing. I am 10 years behind on my footage. I have so much footage, it is unreal. And hopefully this will give me the chance to go through it and show you guys everywhere I've been, what I've been doing, the adventures that are out there. And hopefully it's enough to get you guys out there and not worrying about things like dengue. Because you know what? This is just a part of life. Everybody gets sick. For me, it just happened to be dengue, that is what it took. But it's worth it to go on adventures. It's worth it for this. It really is. And if I can say that, still mildly coherent and feeling the effects, I think that I'm speaking from the heart on it. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next adventure. Cheers. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. I hope you feel inspired to begin adventures of your own. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. For an exclusive, in-depth look at this adventure lifestyle and to further support my channel, become a member of my Patreon crew. Link in the description. I'll see you on the next adventure.